I think Beatrice will share it with you once the recording is there. So we start recording now.
Okay. So the other component of Taara Share is the captive portal. This is the interface that users want when they attempt to connect to your network. This is the interface that will be visible on their mobile devices. So where they are prompted to sign up or log in. If they already have an account, then they will click a login. Remember, I've already registered my number, so I can simply enter my phone number. My phone number here. So upon registration of a user on the captive portal, they will sign up, right? So you will come here and enter your phone number and have the user send a PIN to the mobile devices, right? Once they get that PIN, then they will go to login. If they have an active bundle if they have an active bundle, then once they enter their details here, and log in, they will be able to connect to your network, right? Remember, for a user to be able to connect, they have to be sold a bundle on the admin portal, right? So I will go back to the admin portal and take you through the process of I've shown you how to create a hotspot, to create the hotspot, to create a reseller, and add the home users on the admin portal. After you have added the home user, you sell a bundle to this specific home user so that they can be able to connect to your network, right? So on the admin portal, under support, you can enter, you go to customer and search their phone number. Remember, this is a dummy user that I created. Select a bundle among the ones that Howie shared with me to have them configured on your portal and make a top up. Right? So once you sell a bundle to this specific user, when they're logging in on the captive portal, if they do have an active bundle, they will have access to your internet. If they do not have a bundle, then you can come on the same page and check you can come here and do any administrative work for that specific user. You can be able to view their purchase history. That is the bundles that you have recently sold to them. Right? You can view their usage history. That is the bandwidth consumption on a daily basis. You can view the available bundles for that specific user, right? Where a user pays in advance for a couple of bundles. You can view the available bundles here, and you can also view the MAC address details. Right? This is for troubleshooting purpose, because remember, the authenticating key is a MAC address. So where you have configured a different MAC address from what the user is authenticating with, then you can come here and be able to view the MAC address that is being detected on the MikroTik that is provisioned with Taara Share is different from what the access from what you have configured on the admin portal, right? Is there any question so far?
I just wanted to say that the MAC address is really for fixed users, yeah. So schools, home users, because they have a fixed device, the MAC address based authentication. So this process that you are being shown here is really for those types of fixed users or fixed locations. For hotspot users, meaning customers who are connecting, like say in a market where they're using their phone or their mobile phone to connect to a service, it's a little bit different because you don't have a MAC address. So the phone number that which is showed, which is what they set, is the identifier. So that phone number is identifier, just that for non-fixed users, they don't have a MAC address. So they'll be authenticated just entirely using that number and a passcode that they've set up.
Okay, I think because that is good, and I like the process, the way you're taking us through. I know Armstrong and Stephen have a question, but my question is, Now, at the moment, we have 5 schools, which will be connecting. Then in the 5 schools, we'll be having the hotspots. So I just wanted, maybe you can take us through that. And then in terms of schools, are they going to be, where are you going to put them? Within customers, or that's what I wanted just to get it.
So let me ask you, your schools are paying you a monthly, you're selling them a monthly package, yeah?
I'm just you can talk also. I think you can give it.
What is happening is that the schools are we are using them like our sites. So if you go, we pull up a site in a school, the school acts as a host, so that within that site, now we have a hotspot that is serving the villages. So within the school, I have a, let me use the term mast, or I have a point. So the school are not really paying us anything because they are hosting us. Then within that school, we are using that point to do our hotspot to the villages. So the villagers are paying, but the school are like our hosts. So you use the word like dummy resellers.
And then also on that discussion, I think we also have had a discussion with the teachers and the head teachers, and one of the things was saying that because the project was going to cater for the costs, the project that we are doing now is going to cater for the cost, but we have agreed with the teachers, and they've said that they are going to be able to subsidize some of the cost as we move on. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, I understand what Armstrong said. The question I have is, are you providing connectivity to the school for its own use? I'll give you an example. So, for example, Dunia Moja in Kilifi is selling a service to the school that is used in the school's computer room. And that is basically only for the computer room itself. So what happens is the school is paying, because the school wants the computer room to have computers or laptops that are tablets that are accessible on the internet. They have a Wi-Fi in the computer room, and that Wi-Fi is connected back to a router. That is a service that is paid for by the school. In addition to that, you are right, you can use the school as a host and put some access points that are actually accessible by students, or not even students, but teachers or other villagers around the school. And those are individual users. So do you have both, or do you just have the hotspots for the individual users?
Basically, we have the system like what you're talking about in Dunia Moja.
Yeah. So if you have a system like you have in Dunia Moja, are you charging the school some cost every month for that internet connection?
Howie?
Okay, one of the things that we are doing, because we are still on our pilot phase, one of the things that we are doing that we were subsidizing, because the project that we're doing with 48% had catered for this cost. But we've been having a discussion with the teachers who had agreed that they're going to be able, from the second term, which is from May, they should be able to now start paying for the cost. But the voucher is, we are having vouchers. At the moment, we are looking forward to having vouchers for the lessons, because lessons are held they're held every now and then within the week. Thank you. I don't know if it makes sense.
No, I think I'm still confused. So I don't understand. So are you providing connectivity to the computer room of the school for which the school is paying? Or do you want to provide connectivity outside the computer room to the rest of the school? Or do you also want to provide connectivity to villages around the school? It's a little bit not clear.
What I can interject and say is that actually we are talking the same thing. The computer room of the school is receiving a service that currently has been subsidized, but from next term, they will be paying for it.
Okay.
But we are also connecting teachers. We are also connecting, maybe let me use the word, or let me use other people together with the villages surrounding the school, because it's a village setup.
Okay, fine. So let's start with the computer room. So for the computer room's connection, because that's a connection that the school will pay for, you can treat that as a home user in this case. So in our platform, you can create a home user, which is the school, and that will be going to specific devices within the school's network for example, computer lessons, etc. So you would have to find a way of making sure that those devices are coming back to a single router in the school, and that router's MAC address is what is connected and created as a home user. And for that, you will create a packet. Say it's a monthly package. Let's look at the packages that. So let's say you have a monthly package for the school, which is at what's the pricing for the plans? So for example, your let's say that I take the 3,000. So let's say your RAW package is the school package for 3,000 shillings. That's what they pay every month, and that's for the school's computer devices. Now, in addition to that, you will have some access points in the school that are now for individual users. Say a teacher wants to use internet for their own personal use, or their villages around that you want to connect through Wi-Fi. So those users will not be created as a home user. Those users will basically be on the hotspot itself, and they will get a page, the same page that which is showed on their phone whenever they try to browse, and they will need to buy a 50 shilling service, for example, or whatever packages you've created. They will buy those packages, and they will basically be able to use the service. So what you will have to do is some level of separation between the school's network and all the other access points. So the school's network will go to a dedicated device router, and then the rest of the access points will have to go through a separate VLAN, for example, back to the network, so that you can then separate those two.
I agree with you, Bhavesh. And one of the things that we are doing is that we are using schools as a layer to get into the communities around them. And that is the marketing strategy that we are employing. One is to ensure that people around there are able to see that there's an efficient Wi-Fi, because that's something that first of all we want to do, and that's why for the past 3 months we are trying to provide that kind of a service. Then from there now we move now to the implementation of what we want to implement. I think that's my point. Thank you.
Sure. Yes, I think what you have to be careful about is how you create the network. So you separate the school's network from the Wi-Fi networks for other users through separate VLANs. All that has to go back to a device in the school or wherever your POP is, through your tower back to your network, wherever it is, where the MikroTik is going to be deployed. So just be very clear, because you don't want to mix up one and the other, so that you can then have you would then have issues with people using free services when they're supposed to be paying for it. Now, do you want to create the school as a reseller? I think it really is not necessary, because a reseller would have to be present in the location to be able to sell that product, which might not be a possibility for you. So you might want to just keep the school as a host and a customer, and just use their POP, the tower. You don't have to create them as a reseller. You could just be your dummy reseller yourself, so that you be able to sell directly to the end users when they want a service on that Wi-Fi.
There's another layer of a group of people that we're engaging. They're called net wardens. Net wardens are members of community groups or border or whatever groups that. And these are groups that we are seeing as possible resellers and even shopkeepers. Those are the people that we're already engaging them. We've done 2 trainings with them. Now we're looking forward now, and within that, I don't know, you can also maybe from the experience just explain to us how can we be able to go through that smoothly. Thank you.
So be sure the reseller setup.
Yeah. So you're going to use the net wardens as the resellers to distribute your network in the communities, right? That's correct, Howie?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So in that case, your hotspot, which is Kijiji Yeetu, can have multiple resellers, right? And then Taara Share allows you to pay a certain commission to these resellers, right? So when you're creating the when you come to we already have our Kijiji to hotspot, right, which is mapped with a microchip with your core router, right, the RB4011 that is located at your port. And then under that specific venue ID, which is the hotspot, we can have multiple resellers. In this case, we have created just one dummy reseller with no commission, but you could come here and create multiple resellers. So in this case, if you want your net warden, their contact name, their phone number, and a specific email address. Trying to delete this later. And create the specific reseller, right? So what will happen is this reseller, we could when you're adding the home users for that specific, for example, you could name this reseller as per the community, right? In the community that they're going to do the marketing for Kijiji Yeetu, right? You could name it as such. And then when you're creating your home users, when you come to creating the home users here, create a home user, you're going to select the specific hotspot name, and let me show you. You're going to create, when you're creating the home user, you create the home user under that specific hotspot. The reason why I'm unable to do this under Kijiji Yeetu, I've realized they ought to add the feature for home users on the Kijiji Yeetu. That will be.
No, but I think in their case, the resellers will not be selling to the home users. They'll be selling mostly to the individual people and you're using Wi-Fi, correct?
Public hotspots.
So the resellers will be selling mostly to individual people, not to home users.
The intention is public Wi-Fi.
You see the resellers mostly selling to public Wi-Fi or for home users?
Okay, I think for now we are working with schools, and we already have 30 schools that we are targeting, and we've already talked to. So that one, the who are willing. So home sellers, because one is that we realize that it needs a very technical team to maintain that. So we are working out on that, and in the next phase, which is starting from May, we shall be having now home users once we finish.
No, so I think when we say a home user can also be a school. So just think of home user as any fixed user, basically, like I was explaining earlier. So a school can be also, we use the term home user in this case because a lot of our product is being used for home services, but a home user just means a fixed user with a MAC address. So it's a school, it can be a home, it can be a business. What I'm trying to ask is the resellers, the net wardens you're talking about, will they be selling services to people in markets and public spaces, or will they be selling services to schools itself as a fixed service?
What happened is that the net wardens actually, when they came for training, or how we did an advertisement, they applied and they were selected, and most of them are attached to villages and locations, or what I can call to homes. So you find that within the schools, once we have a hotspot, each hotspot is serving a community. So I think the way you're putting it, they will be actually serving or selling from hotspots.
Yeah. So in this case, hotspot is a public hotspot. So we refer to as a public Wi-Fi. What that means is anyone can use the internet by buying a package. So basically those hotspots, they are hosted in the school or they are hosted around the school, but they're actually public Wi-Fi hotspots. Yeah.
Yes.
So the resellers are related to public Wi-Fi, not related to home users.
And also just to add on that, I think it's a progress that we're building. and you're building it slowly as we move on.
Sure.
One of the things that we have community organizations who are also, like the chief office was also connected. We have connected the chief office. So we find that those kind of users we are trying to reach out to various kind of users, and even have the market center that we are going to finish by the end of this month. We're going to have 2 hotspots within the Ugunja markets. So that's something that also we are progressively looking at.
Yeah, so I think whenever you say hotspot, let's refer, for us it's what we call a public hotspot, meaning users can take their phone, they get a signal, they can connect to it, and they can use a service. For example, the 50 shilling package, or you can create a 20 shilling package, those would be what hotspot users use. The home users, I think of it like a fixed service, basically to a school's own computer lab, or to a home, or to a business. And those are monthly packages. So for example, 2,000 shillings or 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, where they have a monthly package. So that's sort of the translation of the terms between what you are referring to and what we are referring to. I would suggest that because the system is new to you, I would suggest you start, maybe we leave the hotspot training, the Wi-Fi training for later. You start with the home users or the fixed service for now, because that is what you have, so that you get familiarity with the system and how it's working. And then once you launch the public, once you're ready, before you launch the public Wi-Fi, Beatrice can do another training for you to show you how the public Wi-Fi users are able to be connected, and how the reseller app, this is where the reseller app comes in, how the reseller app can be used by the net wardens to sell them packages with commissions.
Let me ask, Beatrice, did you include the home users because within our platform we cannot see the home users?
No, that one I'm going to have it corrected.
Yeah, it should be there, but it's not there, so we'll get it corrected.
Yeah.
It should be appearing there. Yeah,
it should be here. I'll have it corrected and let you know.
But I think for now, for your home or fixed users, let's just use, there'll be a dummy reseller, which is yourself.
Yeah.
And all those fixed users will be created under that dummy reseller. And fixed users will have those packages that are there. So I think there's a 2,000, there's a 3,000, and they could be basically homes. So your 2,000, 3,000 are basically anything that's 2,000 or 3,000 is typically like a monthly service. So think of it like a monthly service going to a school, a home, or an institution. And your 50 and 250 could be a package that could eventually be for public Wi-Fi users. You can create more packages in future if you need, depending on what you want to offer on the public Wi-Fi.
Also to note, you can sell different packages for different communities. It doesn't have to be the same package for all the users that connect to your hotspot. So each hotspot could have independent packages. So if a net warden in a certain community has suggest that the recommended price range for the users is different from another community, you can have that configured on Taara Share, such that users in a specific community are able to customize according to affordability. According to
I mean, it's a feature that is there, but be careful about how you do it, because of course, people talk to each other. So someone might ask, why am I paying more than someone in a community nearby? So just be a little bit careful before you do it. The feature is available, so you can do. I think it's easier, for example, if let's say you are in different towns or different places within Siaya, you could have one price or different prices. Let's say you go to a different county, for example, in future, you could have a different price. So the feature is there, but just be a little bit thoughtful before you start offering that, because that can create challenges also.
The compliance certificate that we've been given by the communications authorities to work in Ugunja alone.
In Ugunja, okay, yeah.
So what we are going to do is we have sub-counties. We have 3. We can agree on how to work out on the different sub-counties. How do you go about it? Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
Sorry. You can continue, Beatrice. I'll ask later on.
No. I actually, you can go ahead. I just wanted to note down the summary points, but you can go ahead and ask your question.
So what I really wanted to get is that you've talked about us creating ourselves as a dummy reseller.
Mhm.
Then within us as dummy resellers, we create home users,
Yes.
which in our case are either the schools or the primary schools, or what we are calling the chief's office location, or within an hospital. Those are home users.
Fixed users, yeah.
Then within these home users, it is from these home users that we get to connect the hotspots.
In the home users, you will have an access point where if it's in a school setup, maybe you have a connection in their lab, in the computer lab, where this access point is a device that is getting authenticated on our MikroTik, right? So the connection in the school will have an access point where we have registered their MAC address, right? And then the users that connect to this access point get access to the internet once you have their router registered on the admin portal of Taara Share.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I was coming to that. So I was just trying to get the setup,
Okay.
where it's the dummy reseller, home
Yeah.
users.
Mhm.
Then within the home users, we have two things. We have the computer lab.
Mhm.
Then we have the hotspot. That's what Bhavesh, I think, said.
Yeah, so I think you're again, I think it's partly what is referred to as a hotspot here is a venue.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. A venue in our case is a MikroTik device, a high-end MikroTik device,
which will be your
core MikroTik device that is going to be at your POP. Okay, so please don't confuse, because again, when this system was created, it started for where you had multiple MikroTiks at each location. So we had, for example, I'll give you a bit of history. When we started this, we were doing public hotspots with Liquid Telecom, and each hotspot had its own MikroTik router. So that's why a hotspot was a venue. So for example, you would go to a barber shop, the barber shop would have its own MikroTik device. That would be a venue, and it will be configured as a hotspot in this case. But in your case, we are centralizing it to keep the cost low. So in this case, the hotspot is going to be your central MikroTik device at your POP, okay? And the public Wi-Fi access points that are going to be at the schools are just access points that are going to be collapsed into using the single venue that is your MikroTik at the core location. If you start putting MikroTiks at multiple venues, means you have a higher cost, which I don't think you would be able to afford today. So as you said, let's say you have a school that is a host. There'll be two types of services. One will be the school itself, that will be a home user, or called a home user in this case. And the second will be a public Wi-Fi access point or multiple access points that will be connected back through the school to your core network. But those public APs, access points, will not be separate hotspots. They will all come to your core MikroTik 4011 that is at your central device. Each of the users on those public access points will get a captive portal page where they can then decide which service they want to use. Okay, I think it's better to do a schematic on this so that we can explain and show you how the setup would be in your case, because your case is different from all the different cases that we've been working with.
So another issue that I wanted to raise up was rather, there is a question that was put on there's a question that the accounts guy put, which has not been answered. Number two, I wanted to ask, now, at this level, I have done the schools, the home users, and I want to introduce the service. Does your software have an introductory offer where a guy can use like 2 weeks, 1 day, 1 month without paying, so that after that I can be able to start bringing him into the system and he starts paying? Is there an introductory offer?
Yes, there is. So we have a way where you can create, I think it's a promotion initial package, basically, which is free. So for example, it's 500 MB or
Yes, 500 MB.
yeah, so we can give 500 MB free for the first time user, so they can actually get a feel of the service before they start paying. So when a public Wi-Fi hotspot user registers for the first time, they will get 500 MB free. that is basically something they can use. After that 500 MB is used up, they can then now buy packages. So that is already there in the system, and we can enable it if I'm not wrong. So that we can do. Yeah.
I like the discussion, and there is always something which is very interesting. When you give people happy hour, they always want to have more and more and use the Wi-Fi more. So I know in the start of the process, maybe in the next 3 months, we should be able to introduce happy hour as we move on.
So we don't have happy hour as a feature, so we cannot in the system today create specific time slots and say between this time and this time the service will be free. We are not able to do that. What we are able to do, as I said, is include a free package as part of the sign up process. Or if you want to do promotions in the future, you can create promotions where you can give free packages to specific users. But I would suggest you do that once you have a hang of how the system is working. But it's possible to do promotions also, where you can create free packages that you can give users based on specific criteria.
Another question that I have with me is that within the office here, we have something like a comp lab where we train, we're intending to train users, and at times the primary kids would come in. So we are wondering, within the MikroTik, will there be a port that they can be able to access within the office as they use the services? They can be able to access. These are mainly kids, like we are planning at times some kids would come over the weekend with their school tablets. They just want to. And number two, the students who would come to learn, would they have to pay for the features? So within the MikroTik, a port can be released so that they can be able to have internet within the office at no cost.
Yeah, so I think how he knows this. So we don't do any free services. I think everything has to be paid for, because of course Liquid is also providing the upstream. What you can do is create your package for your own office or for the lab. So for example, you can create a monthly package for the lab, which I may say is a 2,000 shillings package that you configure for the lab or for the office itself. So then whoever is in the office or on the lab can use that service as part of a monthly service. And basically just means you are paying for the service yourself, but you know it is being used for the lab and it's being provided free for them. This is exactly what Dunia Moja is doing. They have a lab, Lamuka, and Lamuka lab uses the same monthly service that is for their office, basically, as part of the lab. Yeah.
That is it. And another thing, we at this point we require to have a pay bill for the organization for payments and all that kind of stuff.
We are working on the pay bill. I think
It's okay.
Yeah, so I think currently we don't have, unfortunately, the payment integration is not automatic today. So for example, you would need to receive the money from the users or from the schools through your own pay bill and then top them up. I think Beatrice showed you that you can create a top up for the fixed users. We have some other partners. We are looking at external companies that can create a system where they can pay using an external pay bill. But there's normally a cost related to that. So basically, if you use an external party to receive money, then they take a commission out of it. This might not be ideal in your setup currently because you're still starting up and still early. So if you can find, again, using the example of Dunia Moja or Tandanet, they have either they receive money via M-Pesa on a pay bill where users can pay, and based on that you can do a top up. Now it's easy for monthly services because monthly services means you're only doing a top up once a month, which means you can receive the money in cash or M-Pesa. You can go on the portal and do the top up yourself. It normally becomes tricky for Wi-Fi users, public Wi-Fi users who are on the spot, because for them, they might need to buy in the middle of the day or buy a day package. And I think for that, you will really need resellers or net wardens who are in the community who they can pay to and who can do the selling for you.
And they can do that using the reseller app,
Yeah.
which is basically a mobile app that they can log into and make quick sale of a bundle.
So the reseller app, which is what is most useful when you have public Wi-Fi users, is an app through which they can make the sales. So you don't have to do it; they can do it on your behalf, being in the community in sort of more real-time scenario.
Okay, I just wanted Stephen to say something because he's here with us.
Sorry, Steven, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
We are with him in the office here. I can just talk from my.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying that there are two questions I asked on the dashboard. Which one was on happy hour, which you slightly answered. Then the other one was we also intend to engage young people going into the center who may not be in a position to pay as end users. Can we create a research or a question site that allow them to get the internet by answering the questions?
So not in our system, we don't have that feature today. So I think, as I said, you might just have to provide them the internet in your lab through a paid monthly service, or you might have to deploy a separate system where they can answer questions, and based on that, you can give them a package that they can use for the internet in future. But we don't have that, unfortunately, in our system today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't have much to say because I know we'll be interacting more and progressively we'll be building this thing as we move on. I think it's something that if we have questions, we'll always be having meetings once back and forth. But I want to take time and thank you for taking an opportunity to be with us. I think for Kijiji, we are prepared. We are well prepared, and because of this week, we have been finalizing the hotspots for the schools. Then we'll be able also to give you some of the serials so that you can be able to see the location and be able to see where the coordinates of where they're located, so that you're very clear about in which school what is located where, what kind of routers are located there. And I think Armstrong is here. I should be able to provide that. Thank you.
Thanks. I would suggest a few things. I know we are almost out of time. One is, I don't know, do they have the MikroTik ready?
So actually, that's what I wanted to point out. The Kijiji has an RB4011, but with the firmware version 7.13, which unfortunately Taara Share, it's not compatible with Taara Share because the later versions, we are unable to upload the required certificates for Taara Share. So I wanted to check in with you, Howie. Is it possible to acquire another MikroTik?
Is it downgraded?
Is the factory firmware is 7.13, so we cannot be able to downgrade it lower than that.
I think Armstrong. I think we have a MikroTik.
I have an RB 951.
951.
951 works.
We'll have to test it. I think I can pick that conversation with you, Armstrong and Howie, and then we can see if it is going to be compatible. But we have tested. There are a couple of MikroTik models that we have tested and confirmed that they work with Taara Share, which is the RB2011, 3011, 4011, but the older firmware version. Right, we can work with 7.8, we can work with 7.4, 7.2. So if the factory firmware is a lower version, then we can be able to upgrade to the supported software versions. So I think these are conversations we're going to pick to find a way around it. However, our team is still looking into how we can be able to work with your current MikroTik. But as we wait for them to do the lab test and figure out if it's possible for us to deploy Taara Share on that specific firmware, we can see if we can work with the 951.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, once you get a MikroTik that is provisioned, I would suggest you do some testing in your office itself. So for example, once the MikroTik is provisioned, you can connect the Ethernet port to one of the ports and then connect a device and see how the setup works. So think of that device being a home user, put the MAC address, test how it's working. You could also then, for example, connect an access point straight onto the MikroTik with a Wi-Fi access point and see how the what you see on the Captive portal on the phone, because it's important that you test it and see and get yourself familiar before you now start implementing at the schools, because the schools are connected via another wireless network in between, and that can create some issue in case the configurations are not done. Another thing is also like, are you using VLANs or not for the traffic segregation? That's important because you have all this traffic flowing from the POPs, from your school POPs back to your POP. So it'll be good to also make sure that we have a more detailed network understanding so that we don't have any issues with some of those setup and details. I think those are important things because if you and then the other thing I was going to say, so we'll be working with our contractor to install the link between your main POP and the ATC tower with Liquid, so we can provision the internet upstream connection from Liquid to from Liquid ATC to your POP and connect it to the MikroTik. That is going to be the main connection. So that will be a pipe that we will provision, and then that will be what you will be using through this system on the revenue share basis.
I think how you shared with me basic topology. However, I think we can have a separate chat with you and come up with how the connection is, and basically your topology from your POP all the way to the schools that you intend to connect, and then so that we can do proper planning.
That's okay, Beatrice. Thank you. I think one of the other things we wanted to share with you is that in the process when we were putting up this project, we realized that there were a lot of breakdowns. So we were able to get backup. We have two batteries that are able to support in case of any blackouts, we're always running. So we supported Armstrong. We've done that. So we are progressively want to get the solar panel, which we shall be able to get by the next month. Thank you. Can you show them so that I think they can see? Just take them through so that.
We have two batteries, 200 Ah, which we are currently using. The other time we were able to be up for almost 24 hours without electricity. So we believe we are up to task.
Okay, it's good to know.
Thank you, because I think we'll liaise with you and follow up on other things that we've agreed on. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you too for your time. I think we will engage further, of course, on the once the issue on home user is corrected on Taara Share, I will communicate and so that you can be able to add your home users, and then from there we can of course do a provision your MikroTik and test if Taara Share works on the available MikroTik, or we'll need to plan and get another one that is supported by Taara Share. So I think we're going to pick those items with you after this. Otherwise, that's all from us.
Yeah, I think you'll share the recording also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to introduce the team so that you can see the team of Kijiji. Now you've already seen them. You've already seen Dr. Onyango is doctor, and then also we have our finance lead. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Babesh. Thank you.
Bye.